On today's show, Aces take game one of the WNBA Finals. We'll talk about it and look ahead to tonight's game two. Lace them up and lock in. JWJ. Man, it's been a long time coming. Let's go. And if you weren't watching, if you weren't listening, you might not have known.
You know what time it is. Lace them up and lock in. JWJ.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. This is the JWJ podcast. Episode 3, what it do, baby? Hi, Liz. Hey, it's here. It's your boy James. I'm here with my man, my shooter on the wing, Mr. Shane. How's it going, bro?
What it do, what it is.
What it do, what it is. Look here, man. We're gonna make this one short and sweet. We want to make sure that we get you guys in, get you guys out. We want to get everything short, sweet, whatever. Game one of the WNBA Finals went down Sunday afternoon, and in the words of, yes, wrestling reference again, our boy Jim Ross, it was a slobber knocker. It was a barn burner. When the final buzzer sounded, the Las Vegas Aces took game one by a final score of 99-82 over the New York Liberty. 1-0 series lead. We're looking forward to game two tonight at 9:00 on ESPN. Shane, I'm gonna turn it over to you real quick, man. Any impression, first thoughts that you got from the game? What were some things that you saw that you thought were impressive, interesting, whatever, man? What did you see from game one that you think we need to pay attention to?
Well, first off, our last episode, I talked about how this had the potential to be the most watched and probably the most important WNBA Finals series in the league's history, and people tuned in. Game one, Liberty Aces averaged 729,000 viewers on ABC. It actually peaked at 885,000 viewers for that broadcast.
Come on now.
And it lived up to the hype. I mean, it had everything. I mean, that first half, obviously the Liberty led by 3 at half, you know, in large part due to the flurry by Maureen Johannes.
Man, listen.
She's one of my favorite players now. Like I've known about Maureen for a while, but seeing her go on that flurry that she had 14 points in the first half, hit 4 threes, and a couple of them were just bombs. Everybody's talking about it. It's viral now that she hits the pull up off one leg,
yes,
going to her left,
floating left, bro.
So like, James, you'll remember this because we've watched a ton of like Team USA and Olympic type stuff. Tell me that the way Maureen Johannes plays doesn't remind you of Juan Carlos Navarro.
100%.
Like
100%.
The runner, the way she shoots the ball is just like Juan Carlos Navarro.
Floater,
so shout
like
out to La Bamba.
A floater like no other, man. Absolutely. Yeah. And look, one thing that I want to say is, Johannes came out there, she did what she did, and look, offensively, 14 in the first half, super impressive. But I think what people are going to ignore, if I recall, she was actually the one that prevented the possibility of going into halftime with a tied game. And when I say that, late in the first half, clock ticking down, it was only about 2-3 seconds left. Vegas gets the ball across half court. Kelsey Plum pulls up for a 3 from the top of the key, and I'll have to go back and check, but I want to say the only reason Kelsey did not knock that down is because Johannes came up behind her and actually got the block.
Yeah, she got a piece of it. Yep.
So yeah, so she was doing it on both ends. It wasn't just the offensive end. She was making it work on both sides. Like we talked about the X factor, and we talked about the matchup possibly coming down to, you know, Kia Stokes and Jonquel. And Jonquel went down in the first half, you know, for a little bit with a rolled ankle. She twisted her ankle, but nobody accounted for Johannes. That was the definition of an X factor, for lack of better.
Yeah, she stepped up big. She was 5 of 6, hit 4 out of 5 from 3. She was actually a plus 10 in the first half, for the Liberty to take that 3-point lead at halftime. And I mean, you know, they were toe to toe with Vegas, and you know, for that first half they had it, and then obviously the game turned, and it turned in that third quarter. You know, it turned major in the third. Jackie Young in particular for Vegas, she had 12 points at the half, and then she went and scored 12 right there in the third.
Yeah.
She almost had as many points as New York had as a team in the third quarter. She had 12, and New York finished with 16. So they really kind of took control of that game. They didn't shoot the ball well. At least New York didn't. I think they went 1 for 9 from 3 in the second half.
Yeah.
So with a team with the shooters that they have, Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, like Johannes had pretty much the bulk of their 3-pointers. So, you know, they finished with 9 as a team. Johannes finished with 4. She didn't score in the second half.
Right. So I was going to bring that up. Yeah.
Yeah. So Vegas did a good job of staying attached to her. So seeing that because she's got a quick trigger, and they were able to, you know, keep her from getting clean looks at the basket. And, you know, it's just, when you look at the guard play, you know, they start 3 guards, you know, Vegas does. And, you know, with Jackie Young going for 26, Kelsey Plum, who didn't have a big 3-point shooting game, still, you know,
didn't have to.
Yeah, she didn't have to. She went, I think, 10 of 19 from the floor. She had 26 of her own. Chelsea Gray, you know, she went off as well. She had 20. You know, when they're combining for 72. That's your 3-guard kind of rotation in the starting lineup, and they combined for 72 of the 99 points. So they were huge, man. They just really played, you know, exceptional ball. And, you know, Asia Wilson, Breanna Stewart, I feel like that lived up to the hype as well. The two, you know, last 2 MVPs, you know, they were as good as advertised. You know, I felt like Stewie kind of struggled in the second half. I mean, she only shot 4 of 11, but, you know, Asia was just kind of steady. I think she shot 7 of 10, and, you know, I think she kind of set that tone. I mean, she was balling out. I mean, she had 19 points, 8 rebounds, 3 blocks, 2 steals in 35 minutes. So she was stuffing the stat sheet. You know, Stewie ends up with 21 and 9 rebounds. 11 of that 21 came in the second half, but like I just said, she didn't shoot the ball well, just shot 4 of 11 in the second half. So, you know, Jonquel Jones, as you mentioned earlier, she was a major factor in the game, despite, you know, having to leave, you know, briefly with an injury. I mean, she had a double-double in 3 quarters. Still ends up with 16 and 10, but, you know, I don't know if it's her injury. I don't know if it was necessarily Vegas, but I mean, you know, the second half, she was quiet. She had 4 points. She had 1 rebound in the second half. So, I mean, it's interesting to see like all the different matchups kind of play out. We didn't account for Marine Johannes.
I don't think anybody did.
Yeah, and
I don't think anybody did, bro.
And as Biggie would say, if you don't know, now you know.
We'll keep that other word out of there.
Right.
Nah. But look, man, while you're talking about the 72 from, you know, Jackie, Chelsea, and Kelsey, I'm gonna take that a step past that. And we got to throw Asia into the mix, because the Aces actually made history on Sunday. I'm not sure if you caught this, but Asia finished with 19, and combining all four of them for that 91 total of the 99, Asia Wilson, Chelsea Gray, Kelsey Plum, and Jackie Young just combined for the highest scoring output in the WNBA Finals by a quartet of women in WNBA history. At no point in WNBA Finals history have four women combined for 91, and Vegas just did that with their core four. Core four sounds so much better than big three. When you can go that deep, so one way that they made history, but then there's another one. I don't know if you saw this one in the news. Check this out. So on top of the scoring, I'm gonna go down with the scoring again because I gotta add something to it. Asia finishes with 19 points, 8 boards. Kelsey finishes 26 points, 5 boards. Chelsea Gray finishes 20 points, 6 rebounds, and Jackie finishes with 26 points and 5 rebounds. This is the first time, again, in WNBA history, in WNBA Finals history. Sorry, let me correct myself. First time in WNBA Finals history that there have been 4 players on the same team that have finished with at least 15 points and 5 rebounds. Now, as impressive as that is, I also want to go to the other side and really talk about that defense, because just like we talked about on the preview show, episode 2, y'all make sure y'all check that out if you haven't already. One of the big things that I mentioned was that it was going to come down to the defensive effort of that Vegas backcourt. And game 1, they showed us exactly why you need to take them seriously. They put a clamp, like you said. Case in point, we saw Maureen Johannes go off 14 in the first half. Second half, she was damn near non-existent. So I mean, it's so impressive just to see the adjustments that are made and how the team was able to understand what needed to be done and how they just capitalized on it so quickly.
Yeah, and a big thing, like just going off of, like, you talking about the defensive effort and the scoring and the numbers that they put up. We talked about this after the game. It's amazing that Vegas is doing this with a 6-woman rotation. That's a big reason why the numbers are the way they are, is because everybody's playing 35 minutes.
Yeah.
What everybody's saying, Las Vegas.
LVA. Yeah.
But when you're only playing 6 players, like, I think it sets a tone. I mean, legitimately 6 players played, and then I mean there was some like final minute type stuff where people got in, but I mean that's how they got it. I mean it was their 5 plus Alicia Clark.
And it's scary, and it's scary to think that you're getting beat in the finals by a team that only has to play 6 women. That's scary.
That's versatility, and that's also just like that speaks to the like I said, the versatility, the skills that each player possesses. Because I mean, Asia could slide over and play the 5. Chelsea Gray could play either backcourt spot. Jackie Young could go between the 2 and 3. Same thing with Kelsey Plum. Alicia Clark comes in and she probably can play 3 and 4.
And what they don't realize is, I think what a lot of the casual fans might not realize is that up until this year, like there was even, Kelsey Plum would alternate between starting and being that 6th woman. Now with Alicia Clark, that just boosts them up even more. Like, Alicia Clark was there, the 6th woman. I'm not going to say 6th player. I refuse. So you're dealing with somebody off the bench that is just as dangerous, you know, and it allows you to put somebody in the lineup like Kelsey Plum that just comes out here and, you know, and then drops these buckets. She comes out here and now she's giving you 26 in game one. And so now it leads you to wonder, after game two, y'all go back, you know, you go to New York. What's it gonna look like in New York? Are you going to have a split? Is it going to be you're down 0-2? Like what's really about to happen?
Yeah, and I think you have to wonder, just like you said, how the complexion changes, because one thing I thought that stuck out is the fact that, you know, Vegas, you know, they did what they had to do at home, but they were just a more aggressive team. They had 23 free throw attempts, so they were plus 10 in the free throw differential. That's big. When you're shooting 60, you know, you're shooting what, 61, a little over 61% in the second half, a little under 55% for the game.
Yeah.
You know, when you're shooting like that, and you know, 3-point percentage was there, shot 9 of 22, like they're hitting threes, they're getting what they want offensively, and they're getting to the line. They go 20 of 23 from the free throw line. So once the series shifts to New York, it'll be interesting to see if that changes. I mean, usually that kind of is what happens in series anyway. Like the home team gets the favor of the whistle.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. I think honestly, I'm interested once it shifts in, you know, even just looking forward to tonight's game, is what are we going to see from Sabrina Ionescu? What are we going to see?
Bro, she was damn near non-existent in game one. It was almost,
She took
like
7 shots.
Like I said, I want to give her credit though. And I know we talked about this a little bit earlier. It's almost fair to have the whole deer in headlights aspect to it, only because, I mean, if you look at Sabrina's career so far, I mean, a lot of the time the reason that New York has fallen short since she's been there is, you know, you look at the injury that she took. You know, if she's not there, clearly she can't perform. So I think that with this being her first time being in the finals, this is literally her first NBA, you know, WNBA Finals game of her career. The bugs were, I'm sure they're there. The butterflies were there. And I'm expecting a definite bounce back. I think that she's going to come back. I think we're going to see a different Sabrina in game two. But what do you think it's going to take, as far what's it going to take for New York to bounce back and even this series up tonight?
They have to figure out a way to kind of disrupt, you know, kind of the, you know, they can't foul like that. I mean, 23 free throw attempts is a lot, which is, I mean, it's a tall task dealing with the offensive firepower that Vegas possesses. But I mean, you can't have a team shooting 55% from the field.
Yeah.
Defensively, you're just going to have to find a way to slow that down. It's going to start with how do you slow down Asia Wilson? I mean, she was only 7 of 10, but she had 19 points. You know, they got to try and figure out, okay, how do we counter, you know, the Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young problem? You know, because Jackie lit them up like a Christmas tree. And with Kelsey going off, I mean, that's two bona fide scorers doing their thing. I just think they're going to need to, you know, whatever they found in that first half that got them the lead, they're going to have to find a way to stick to that, because, you know, who's to say we're going to have more outbursts from Marine Johannes?
Right.
You know, like that should be what we probably should have gotten from Sabrina in the first game. So yeah. I think offensively, I liked a lot of what New York did. I think they just have to try and do a little bit better job of maybe trying to get Sabrina some stuff early, try to get her some easy buckets and try to get her to ease her way in, get her comfortable. Because I mean, she was 2 of 7. She only took like 4 shots in the second half.
Mm.
A shooter of that capability, I mean, obviously you want to, if you're Vegas, you got to keep somebody attached to her, kind of the same way that they guarded Johannes in the second half.
Yeah.
They just have to try and get Sabrina going early, try to get Stewie some easy buckets as well. And work their way from there. But it's a lot of firepower that they have to deal with. It's not going to be easy, but they have to try and find a way to slow them down defensively.
Yeah, and to me, it's even going off of that. I know it's so much deeper when it comes to the mental aspect of it. Something that I have to point out, I'm not sure if you saw it, but in the second half of the game, there was a moment that I have to mention because to me, this was the determining factor to where now I'm honestly wondering if my original prediction is going to ring true. In the last episode, I said that the Aces would take this in 5. Now I'm wondering if that's really going to happen because I think it might be fewer games than that. And there was one moment in game 1 that possibly changed my mind. So in the second half, Sabrina Ionescu was on the wing. She caught a pass and she's right in front of the Aces bench. She catches the pass and she kind of caught it. She caught it while she was kind of running to her left and catches the ball, comes down, plants her feet. She goes up for the pump fake, but when she goes up for the fake, she messes around and brings her plant foot off the floor. So she brings her plant foot off the floor and then she goes down and then she still takes another dribble and pulls up for the 3. Right behind her on the Aces bench, Becky Hammond loses her mind. She goes absolutely crazy. So Becky's going nuts. And during the dead ball right after that, Becky is like making a beeline to the referees. She is ready to go tear them a new one. And the players had to go grab her and pull her back. And they're like, Coach, chill. That moment right there, I'm gonna be very bold in this, Shane. I wouldn't be surprised if the Aces sweep this thing, bro. That you have a coach that is that fiery, and you have a team that performed like this in game 1. I don't see it getting worse, man. I am willing to go as far. I will make a bold prediction right now, and I will say I'm gonna counter my initial prediction and say that Aces in 5 was a bad prediction because I don't think it's gonna make it 5. The way that they performed in game 1, combined with the way that Becky reacted to that single call, Shane, mind you, when this call went down, the Aces were very well in the lead. It wasn't like it was going to be something that would cost them the game.
Yeah.
Like,
they led by as many as 22.
Exactly. They outscored New York 53-33 in the second half, man. Like, come on now. But that to me is what is so impressive though. When you have a coach that is that into what they're doing, even when you're on the winning side of things, that's a problem for the opposition. And I think that I know I shouldn't jump to conclusions so quickly, but I think after this first game performance, I feel like it's in the bag, bro. I really do. What are you thinking? Are you how you feel?
I'm gonna give New York the benefit of the doubt right now. Because I mean they did lead at half. Things just kind of took a turn in the second half. I think they just have to try and replicate what they did in the first half, just play better, and tighten the screws defensively. Try to figure out how do you answer like I said the offensive firepower. But going to your point on the Aces, like I had a similar moment in the press conference when they closed out Dallas. When
Okay.
Becky yeah, they won the game,
Yeah. Yeah.
but Becky was not happy with it. She said it was
Yeah.
ugly basketball.
Yeah.
She said, the entertainment value wasn't there. Like people don't want to watch that mess. They want to see a high level of basketball. And it makes me admire her more because I've heard from I've heard all kinds of cliches from coaches over the years just in doing what I do, but a couple things stick out is how you do anything is how you do everything. And she kind of sets that tone. Like she's never satisfied. She always thinks that the team can be better, and it's like you can't reach perfection, but you can chase excellence, right?
Yeah.
And so I think she's kind of set that tone, and there was a coach that first time I'd heard this saying was covering the Valdosta Wildcats, covering Shelton Felton,
hometown baby.
and if him or his wife are listening to this, miss y'all, go Cats. But coach always told his team, whether they won, whether they lost, if they played bad, if they played well, he said the standard is the standard. That's what Becky Hammon stands for. The standard is the standard. If she's that fiery when they've been up by 20 plus,
yeah.
if she's that fiery when they have the game well in hand, if they've closed out a team and punched their ticket to the finals and she's upset with the level of play, it's letting the team know like, hey, we won, but we can be better.
Standard of excellence.
Absolutely. With the refs, the way this game went, it's like, okay, yeah, but she's demanding it from them. The standard is the standard. That's a travel.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, she lost it, bro.
Y'all missed it. And she lost her mind. So no, I think given the talent level of the team and Becky's approach to how she's handled the team and how she handles herself as a coach, I'm with you in a way about like the series definitely feels like it'll be shorter.
Yeah.
I will give New York credit as far as they had a lead and they could get back into the series. Now, if they lose game 2, it's pretty much done. I think they're cooked.
And that was going to be my next question for you. In your honest opinion, which is going to be more vital for the New York Liberty? Winning game 2 or simply being able to hold their own at home and win games 3 and 4?
If you go down 0-2, that puts so much more pressure on you than you need. Because I feel like, okay, if you're on the road first 2 games, it's like, okay, you're hoping as the team that doesn't have home court that you can steal one of the first 2 games.
Right.
That's I think that's priority number 1 as the team that doesn't have home court.
Right.
2,
you gotta take one.
Yeah, you gotta take one if you want to give yourself a chance to get ahead.
And ideally, I feel like the one you need to take is game 1, which is why I feel like they're in trouble already.
Right. Because see, now if they go into game 2 tonight and they get blasted again or they just lose, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, we're going back home, and it becomes, okay, we're down 0-2, we're in a hole. So now you're thinking, okay, you can ride the energy of the home crowd, but like you're going to have to play that much sharper because you're down 0-2. So now, not only are you in front of your home crowd, but now you have pressure. You got scoreboard pressure now because you're like, okay,
you're dealing with it. You're dealing with a mental aspect that you shouldn't have to deal with.
Right. Because now you're saying, okay, we have to win 2 games.
Yeah.
In order to
just to stay alive.
Right. Because if you win one, it's like, okay, we're alive still. Right. But it's like if you go down 0-2, you have to win both games at home.
Right.
It's a 5-game series.
Right.
So it's not like a 7-game. Mentally, it's a completely different mindset.
Game 2, game to me, it's much more important that they win tonight.
Right.
Because obviously, for one, I mean, the obvious reason with them being the 2nd seed as opposed to the top seed, in order for you to win this title, you're going to have to win at least 1 game in Las Vegas.
Right.
That has to happen. And you don't want to run the risk of saying, okay, that game that we're going to win is going to be game 5. It might not get there, especially if you play the way that you played in game 1, or more so the second half of game 1.
Right.
So game 2, in order for this series to make it, in my opinion, in order for this series to make it past game 4, they have to win game 2. And when I say they, I mean New York. New York has to win game 2. And the thing is, they've shown us they can do it. I mean, season series, if you include the Commissioner's Cup, New York won the series. So it can be done. And I mean, again, you're dealing with the advantage of, there's no Candace Parker. It's already been a season where you're dealing with no Raquana Williams. She hasn't been there the entire season, dealing with her back issues and legal issues. So it can be done, but it has to happen in game 2. If New York goes down 0-2 in this series, there's no way it goes past 4. And I'll be bold enough to say, if they go down 0-2, I'm gonna call a sweep, bro. That's my honest opinion.
I think honestly, just looking at the series, I mean, it's if you win game 2, if you're New York, if you win game 2, it's like, okay, we're 1-1 going home. That's I feel like it's your best chance because you can ride that momentum. You figure some stuff out. You made some adjustments. Once you get on the road there, once you go back home, it's like, okay, we got the momentum because we just took game 1. We took game 2, what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then now we got 2 games at home. So you go from, okay, we were staring down the barrel of a possible 2-0 hole.
Mm-hmm.
And now if you steal one, you might come away from your 2 home games up 2-1. So I mean, there's a chance, say they take game 2, there's a path for them to win the series at home and close it out.
Game two is the clinch.
Right.
Game 2 is the catch.
Yeah. So it's like I said, like I was about to say earlier, like it's just when it's not a 7-game series, like that margin for error definitely shrinks. And it's like if they go down 0-2, it's going to be hard, even though you're the home team, it's going to be hard to kind of circle that wagon because you got to beat the best team in the league 3 times to win the series.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. We'll see if they got what it takes. I mean, Sabrina can't go out and shoot 2 for 7. Right. As a team, they can't shoot 9 for 29 from 3.
Right.
And one thing that we talked about, and this goes back to our last episode, is we talk. What did I say the X factors would be? Rebounding and 3-point shooting. They narrowly lost the rebounding battle 34-30. Both teams made 9 threes.
Right.
But New York was 9 of 29 and Vegas was 9 of 22.
There you go.
That's a big difference in percentage.
They pounded the paint.
Right.
Vegas pounded the paint.
Right. And you held Jonquel Jones to 1 rebound in the second half.
Yeah.
So they took game 1 by taking the X factors that I mentioned in the podcast before. So I think if New York can clean up some things, if they can rebound better, maybe take an advantage in that category and shoot the 3 better, they'll have a chance to get back in, to get into the series and have a chance going back home. But we'll see. I'm not about to be banging the table with my prediction, because I did say that the Liberty will win, mainly because I wanted to be compelling rather than
we gotta go back and forth, right? We gotta go back and forth,
right? So
that makes.
But no, like I said, I feel like those 2 things, rebound and 3-point shooting, that's something that New York's gonna have to do better if they're gonna win the series for sure.
Yeah, I feel you, and I mean, there's so I definitely think, I mean, game 2, it's funny because you don't often see to where like the second game of a series is really that defining moment for the series, but in this case it really is. And I mean, you've outlined a lot of those reasons behind that. I mean, New York is gonna have to show up. If New York, like I say, regardless of them going home, if they go home down 2 games, it's going to be a problem.
Right.
So that's going to be something where they're going to have to pick that up, and they're going to have to pick up the slack and make sure that things go the way that they want it to. I want to point out one other big thing that I feel might have gotten overlooked in this game. I don't know if you saw the stats floating around, but somebody that we have actually gone, I don't even know how long we've been recording at this point, but somebody else that we have gone this entire episode and we have not mentioned her name yet. We're going to mention it right now, and it's for very good reason. During game 1 of the WNBA Finals, Courtney Vandersloot became the second all-time ranking player in WNBA history in playoff assists. Did you realize that, Shane?
No, I didn't realize that, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah. During the game, she moved up to number 2 all-time in playoff assists. And ironically, do you know who she passed, who is now number 3? You know, I always do my trivia. I love y'all. Do you know who she passed, who is now sitting at number 3?
Chelsea Gray?
Nah. Only hint I'm going to give you is it is one of Courtney's former teammates.
Damn.
Oh, I'll give you one more. If they had actually had the Hall of Fame induction ceremony on your birthday weekend again, we could have met this woman. only other hint you get.
I'm gonna tap out on that because I'm like fried. All right. I'm fried on that one, dude.
All right, check it, Shane. If we were able to go to the Hall of Fame induction ceremony in Knoxville again, y'all make sure y'all go check the first few episodes of season 1. We would have been able to get pictures and meet the woman that she passed, her former teammate, Lindsay Whalen.
Well, damn. Here we go.
Back when they were members of the Minnesota Lynx together. So we would have been able to meet her former teammate who she passed. Lindsay Whalen is now number 3 on the list because Courtney Vandersloot is number 2. Now, Shane, Here's another one. And I feel like you'll probably knock this one out the park. Who is the only woman sitting ahead of her?
Ahead of
Vandersloot is number 2. Who's number 1 right now? Playoff assist. And I'll give you a hint. Very easy hint. She's one of our best friends too.
Oh, okay. So it's Sue Bird.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you'd go there or Diana Taurasi. But yeah.
No, I had to think like buckets versus who hands out the buckets.
Right. So yeah. No, so now she sits second all time, and the only woman ahead of her is Sue Bird. So Shane, we're in the presence of greatness, my boy.
Shout out to Birdie.
We're we're in the presence of greatness, man. Look, the WNBA Finals have started off already in amazing fashion. I think that it's definitely going to continue that way. My only beef right now, and we talked about her for a little bit, my only beef right now with what went down on the Vegas sideline is the fact that that head coach that, lost her temper, we were supposed to meet her last summer and didn't get to. But at least the Aces, beat the Sparks in that game when she was supposed to be at the Hall of Fame induction. I'm not bitter, because you know what? Eventually she's gonna hear this. Speaking things into action, she's gonna hear this, and eventually, I'll be able to like chill with her, and we're gonna, eventually. Well, look, we already talked about it, Shane. We're gonna be chilling in Vegas, at the Summer League, and we're going to be hosting the JWJ podcast during the NBA Summer League, and she's gonna be there because she's still tight with, with Coach Pop. So she's gonna be there. We're gonna get to dap her up, and she's gonna look at us and be like, "Don't you ever talk about me like that again." And I'm gonna be like, "Okay, I'm sorry. Can we get this selfie though?" And then she's gonna do it. So it is what it is. One last thing that I want to mention before we wrap this up, Shane. There was some news that broke today, and this is not finals related, but it definitely is WNBA related, and it is a very big deal. Very big deal. I want to make sure that I throw this out there. Not sure if you heard about this, but earlier today, it was released that the Chicago Sky are set to sign a new head coach. And this head coach is a WNBA legend and a basketball Hall of Famer. Have you heard about this news yet?
No, I did not.
Ooh, boy. All right, so check this out. Earlier today, so well, let me preface it a little bit. In July of this year, James Wade, who was the former coach, took a job as an assistant coach with the Toronto Raptors in the NBA. They handed over interim duties to their assistant coach, who they decided they weren't going to bring back once the season ended. Shane, they are putting ink to paper, probably as we speak. Probably not, but of course that sounds good. 5-time All-Star, 2-time, we haven't had a wrestling reference in the two-time defensive player of the year, soon to be the new head coach of the Chicago Sky, Shane, Teresa Weatherspoon.
Shout out to Spoon. Let's
go. Let's go.
Yeah, she's been around the NBA circles for a while. So I'm happy for her to get that opportunity because she's I want to say what she'd surfaced with the Pelicans. She was helping them.
Yeah, she had been
Yeah,
helping.
so
Matter of
yeah,
fact, she was the one, she had been in the media a lot.
right,
Zion Williamson
right,
brought her up,
right.
saying, when he was dealing with, like the weight issues and the health issues and diet and all of that, he was saying that one of the people that came to him and was constantly like, checking on him was
Yeah,
Teresa Weatherspoon. And he was like, she would come to me and be like, um, how you doing? And he'd be like, oh, well, my shot is here, my jumper's here, my dribble's here. And she'd be like, no, 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 shut up with that. How are you?
yeah,
Like, and she really cared about how he was doing. And that's what a coach is. You know, I'm here to help you perfect your craft when it comes to this 94 by 50. But at the same time, you can't perfect that craft if you can't perfect what's between your ears.
right.
So it's my job to make sure that you're better as a human being. And we saw over the last few years, Teresa Weatherspoon has really been trying to hone that craft in New Orleans. And now she has a chance to do it in the league that made her who she was. Like well, I say who she was. Let me stop being past tense. Who she is. like, like, like Spoon is a freaking legend.
Yeah, one of the
So,
greatest of all time. So
well,
it's
yeah,
good that she's got that. She's earned that. I mean,
absolutely.
she's been around the league. It's the same thing as Becky Hammon. She
Yeah,
was a great player in the league. She's gone to the NBA and been around that and paid her dues. There's a lot of other coaches that have done the same. And now she's getting a chance to come back to the W and leave her mark as a coach. So no, I'm excited for her and see what the Sky do. Because I mean, what, they were just champions 2 years ago.
right, right. I, I, I'm definitely happy for her. I mean, I think she can take them a long way. They've lost some major pieces over the last couple of years. I mean, we just talked about Courtney Vandersloot, who is, in New York in the finals right now. That championship team, the big boasting piece was Candace Parker, who is now, sidelined in Vegas. They lost a lot of, Allie Quigley took time off. So Chicago has lost a lot of major pieces, but I feel like they can I think Spoon can she can definitely pick up the slack in a lot of ways. She has a ton of potential. I mean, she's coached in multiple locations. So I just think it's a matter of time before they're able to pick it back up and Chicago is back up there in that championship conversation again. So I think it's definitely good for them and I'm definitely happy for her. Um I do want to, before we close things up, I want to make sure I let everybody know if you're still listening, if you're still here, we want to say we appreciate you. If you've made it this far, thank you for making JWJ a part of your day. If you're not already, make sure you follow us, like us, and subscribe. We can be found on almost every platform, including Anchor, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and more. We can also be found on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter/X, whatever you want to call it. You can follow us on the JWJ podcast. You can also follow us individually. You can follow my boy Shane at It's a Thomas Thing. You can follow me at Titletown's Mayor. If you have any questions or if you would like to add your opinion to the podcast, make sure you hit us up with an email at thejwjpodcast@gmail.com. We would love to include you guys on the episode. We would love to get you guys' thoughts out there because that's what we're here for. We thank you guys so much for listening to us. We're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Shane, anything else you want to say? I'll let you go ahead and close us out, bro.
All right. So I've been putting this out. I started putting this out on socials a couple days ago. We added YouTube as one of our platforms, and we're trying to grow our audience. And right now, we've been sitting at about 17 subscribers on YouTube for like the better part of like 6 months, almost a year. So I have a challenge. If you are listening to this and you see this on YouTube, we're going to start low, but hopefully we can get there. We have 17 subscribers right now. If we can reach 50 by the end of the year, we'll reach that goal of getting where we want to get to try and expand our audience. It's a small leap. We only need 33. So if you're listening, 33 people, go to YouTube, go to the JWJ podcast, give us likes on our content, hit subscribe, hit that notification bell to be notified whenever we put out new original podcast episodes. So with that being said, as James talked about, until next time, thank you for your support and thank you for tuning in to JWJ.